I see that we have wonderful attendees from all over the world. So I'm saying good afternoon from Texas, but for some of us it's morning, for some of us it's evening. Whatever time it is, we're so glad that you're here today spending some time with us to talk about artificial intelligence and the individual education program. And as we have people coming in, I do want to honor our time. So I'm going to go ahead and start today. I'm Laura Wilk-Peter, and on behalf of IEP Sensei, I'm so delighted to share this framework that we have for modernizing the special education process. And our mission today is to move beyond procedural compliance and really achieve true equitable collaboration across teams. Much like our attendees today, we see people from across the world. And that confirms for us that the challenge that we're here to solve, which is really a knowledge gap that's created by complex mandated documentation, is universal. And so by applying artificial intelligence, we're going to show you how you can eliminate that gap. As we go through the presentation, please use the Q&A function, share your questions. If I can't get to them immediately, we'll definitely have some time at the end where we'll have time for conversation. So this is our IEP Sensei team. We are special education experts. We are parents of children with disabilities and AI and technology experts. So I'm going to be navigating through the learning journey today, but Mark and Michael will also be available at the end to answer questions and then to continue our conversation during that Q&A time. So imagine that you're a parent and you're walking into your first special education meeting. Okay? You're there to advocate for your child and you're excited and you're handed a huge 30-page document. It's called an IEP, or an individual education program, and it's full of terms you've never seen before. Phrases like PLOF and LRE and specially designed instruction. You feel overwhelmed and maybe a little intimidated, because you know that your child's educational experience hinges on the words in this important document. That experience is reality for countless families that we work with. And our laws in the United States, the IDEA 2004, is built on the foundation of meaningful parent participation. But oftentimes the complexity of the system just creates a barrier. It's kind of a power imbalance from the start. So how do we fix this? How do we level the playing field? Well, we can build a bridge with technology. And today, that's what we're introducing, artificial intelligence as that bridge. So we're going to explore how technology can act as a translator, an advocate, and a coach, and finally make it possible to empower parents to be the true equal partners their children need them to be. This is also about supporting our dedicated school staff, our teachers, our administrators, our special programs directors, who are often overloaded with paperwork and compliance demands. What they want to focus on is teaching, instructional strategy, program implementation, and collaboration with families. That's where their expertise truly lies. So we've talked about the problem, that complex process and the documentation that can feel disempowering. Now let's talk about solutions. So think of this next part as opening up a powerful AI toolkit for equal input. Okay, we're going to talk about some practical tools that can fundamentally change how parents engage in the IEP process. And first up, we have the decoder. So imagine taking that great big document, that 30-page IEP, and in seconds transforming it into a summary that's plain, simple language. The tool instantly translates jargon and complex data, and it frees you up from that cognitive load of trying to figure out all the paperwork so you can focus on the substance, your child. Next in our toolkit is the statement crafter. So your parent input is one of the most vital parts of the IEP. Okay, but staring at a blank page can be intimidating. So this AI tool can act as your writing partner. It can help you turn simple notes and concerns into a focused, professionally worded statement that ensures your expertise about your child is powerfully and formally documented. The third tool is the goal analyst. So we talk to lots of parents who ask, I don't know, is this a good goal for my child? This tool is a quality check. So you can use AI to review draft goals, ensure that they're specific, they're measurable, and they're ambitious. So it empowers you to ask some targeted questions and refine goals so they truly drive your child's progress. And finally, we need to think bigger and more innovative, thinking about AI as assistive technology. And this goes beyond meeting preparation. So we're going to explore how AI tools can directly support your child's learning and how teams can consider these technology tools to be written into the IEP. Okay, so together, what are we doing? These tools are designed to do one thing. It's to turn that process that feels overwhelming into one that's collaborative, it's transparent, and it's empowering for all stakeholders. What is free appropriate public education? Now that we have our AI toolkit, let's focus on the fundamental promise that we're advocating for. In the United States, the entire world of special education is built on this core principle, and it's summed up in a single acronym, FAPE, or Free Appropriate Public Education. So think about FAPE as the North Star. It's the guiding light, and it's that civil that directs every service that a child in special education receives. So let's break it down a little bit. Free is simple. It's that the specialized instruction and services that your child needs must be provided at no cost to you. The public education part means that it's the public school's responsibility, covering everything from preschool through high school. But the most important word is appropriate. And that's often the blurry part. So how do we define what's appropriate for each unique child? That brings us to the IEP. The IEP is that individualized education program. It's the blueprint for FAPE, or Free Appropriate Public Education. It's a legally binding document where the IEP team, that includes the parent as an equal partner, lays out the specific individualized plan to meet the child's needs and prepare them for the future. So without a strong IEP, the promise of FAPE is just an idea. And then finally, the IEP doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to be delivered. It has to be implemented. And this brings us to the principle of least restrictive environment, or LRE. And this is a really critical point. So a child with a disability is a general education student first. And the law requires that they be educated with their peers without disabilities as much as possible. So if we're considering a more restrictive setting, like a separate classroom, that should be considered only after all supports to succeed in general education has been tried. So it's a last resort, it's not a default. All right, so we have these three pillars. We have free appropriate public education, that's the promise. We have the IEP as the blueprint, and we have least restrictive environment as the placement. And so those are really the foundations of special education. All right, so for decades, the legal standard for student progress was really low. The courts often held that as long as the school provided an IEP with merely more than trivial benefit, it's a standard that's called de minimis, that it was okay, it was legally okay. And the bar was essentially kind of on the floor, leaving a lot of students without the ambitious support that they needed to thrive. Okay. So in 2017, in a unanimous Supreme Court decision, I was teaching at the time, and it was groundbreaking. It completely changed the landscape. So the Andrew F. decision, it didn't just nudge the standard, it significantly raised the bar for what appropriate and free appropriate public education truly means. So the court gave us a new powerful standard. An IEP must be reasonably calculated to enable a child to make progress appropriate in light of the child's circumstances. So let's break that down. Reasonably calculated means that the plan must be data-driven, thoughtful, strategic. But the magic is in progress appropriate in light of the child's circumstances. because this means we stop comparing a child to any generic standard and we start focusing on their unique potential. Okay, this ruling rejected de minimis, and instead it demands that the IEP be appropriately ambitious, and the goals must be designed for substantial progress for children. So that challenges our students to reach their full potential. So what does this mean for the IEP team or the special education team in practice? It means that they're going to consider your whole child, their unique strengths, their needs, and they're going to set the goals that are challenging and realistic. Okay, so crucially, what does that mean? That means our goals have to be measurable. It means that we have to monitor progress regularly. And reporting isn't just a suggestion anymore, it's an accountability tool to ensure that the plan is working and your child's making meaningful gains. So we've all been in meetings where acronyms are thrown around. Like every industry has its acronyms, and special educators really, really love to speak in them. And it can feel really trying and hard to follow conversations where we're doing that. It's a huge barrier to equal participation. So for now, let's create our own decoder ring for 4 common terms that you might hear. First and most importantly is the PLOF. It's really hard to say, it's a mouthful, but think of this as the you are here on a map. It's the foundation for the entire IEP, and it should provide a detailed snapshot to kind of tell the story of your child's current strengths and needs based on data. So every goal that's in this IEP, this individual educational program, must be built on this foundation that's in this section. Here's another acronym that I think is kind of funny to say. It's the BIP. Okay, the BIP is a behavior intervention plan. Now, it's not about punishment or anything like that. What that is a proactive game plan for behavior. If a student's behavior is inhibiting their ability to learn, then we'll have a behavior intervention plan. So it's created to understand first, why is the behavior happening? And then how can we provide some positive strategies and supports to teach new skills? We talked about this one already, but it's really crucial. LRE, or least restrictive environment. Think of this as the default setting. And remember that the law presumes that general education classroom is the starting point. And LRE ensures that a child is only moved to that more restrictive setting if it's absolutely necessary to meet their needs. And sometimes it is. And finally, you may hear about ESY, or extended school year. So it's not summer school, but think of ESY as a bridge to the next year. So it's a time that we provide some targeted services that, if over a long break we were concerned a student would lose really critical and hard-won skills, and they might regress over the summer. So we would put in services, extended school year services, to make sure that that didn't happen. So knowing these terms before you walk into the meeting or as you're trying to read information can be really helpful in helping to build that collaborative partnership. So far, I've done a lot of talking about legal promises, high standards, confusing jargon, but now let's put it all together and see how AI can fundamentally revolutionize the IEP conversation. Okay? So first, AI can act as a true knowledge equalizer. Think about it like having an expert educational consultant in your pocket 24/7. Okay? It helps to demystify complex reports, legal standards, and it ensures that parents can walk into meetings feeling confident, informed as equal partners. Okay? It's like a playing field leveler, right? Secondly, AI allows truly tailored communication. So it goes beyond simple translation, right? We're trying to ensure that every family both gives and receives information in a way that's accessible, it's meaningful to them, it helps to break down language and cultural barriers, it helps to foster that genuine participation. Okay? And finally, AI helps by streamlining compliance. So it can automate the mountains of paperwork and procedural tasks that can actually bog down the process. It's a huge win for educators because it can free them up from administrative burdens. So thinking about that, Oops, I went the wrong way. All right, let's zoom in on a powerful piece of the IEP process that's often overlooked, and that's parent input. So when you're in a special education and IEP meeting, you may be asked, are there any questions or concerns that you want the committee to focus on? And your input really should be reflected throughout the development of the IEP, right? So why is this so important? Well, the rest of the IEP is filled with school data and professional observations. And this is the one place that's designed to capture parents' unique expertise, right? So parents are the expert on their child's life outside of the classroom. They know their strengths, their passions, and the challenges that they face at home. So having an input statement is a parent's opportunity to put that essential whole child perspective into that official record. Okay. And this is where AI assisted prompting can become an incredible ally. It acts as a writing coach. You provide the expertise and your bullet points, your stories, your observations, and AI can help you structure that knowledge into a clear, concise professional statement. So the result can be huge. A well-crafted statement that gets copied directly into the IEP makes a parent's perspective a permanent part of the plan. Okay? It ensures that parents' voice isn't just an afterthought in meeting notes, but it is a foundational part of the child's educational blueprint. Now, for parents who have an impact statement or that they would like to provide, there may not be, depending on the school district and what program that they use, there might not be a specific box labeled parent input statement. And if that's the case, that's okay. You can formally just request that your statement be directly put into the PLOF section, the present levels of academic and functional performance. Lots of ways to incorporate that good information. So let's look at an example of a prompt that you might use with AI to help to craft this statement. Here it is. You are my supportive IEP writing coach. Help me write a strong parent input statement for my child's IEP. Ask me questions one at a time about my child's strengths, their challenges, the strategies that work or don't work at home, and my hopes for their future. After you have my answers, help me combine my notes into a final professional statement. Start by asking me about my child's strengths. All right, pretty cool, right? So let's look at another situation, kind of beyond just understanding documents. There's also the human side of the IEP meeting. We've all felt it, the anxiety the night before, running through conversations in your head, worried that you might forget a key point or get flustered if things get a little bit difficult. And this is where AI can become your personal preparation coach or kind of a flight simulator for the IEP meeting. It provides you a safe place to practice and build your confidence before you ever walk into the room. So first, it can help you prepare for challenging conversations. So let's say you're not in agreement with a recommendation. The AI partner can help you generate a script with language that's clear and respectful. It can help you find the right words so that you can advocate effectively even when you're nervous. Okay. Another way that you can use it is for Q&A sessions. So you can ask the AI, what questions might the school team ask me about my request? And then you can practice your answers. So it's kind of like thinking about the simulator, right? We're preparing for turbulence. And that way, when real questions come, you're not caught off guard. You're ready and you're composed. And finally, another way that AI can help is as a communication coach. So a lot of the things that we talk about are emotional, and AI can help you translate some of those emotionally charged observations into more neutral and professional language. Things like, if you're feeling really frustrated, shifting from I'm frustrated to I have concerns about the data and I'd like to discuss some potential strategies, you know. So by using AI to prepare, you can walk into meetings not with anxiety, but with confidence and clarity and feeling really well prepared. So let's look at a possible prompt that you could use. And we call it the Flight Simulator Kickstarter Prompt. It's a great title. I want you to be my IEP meeting simulator and coach. Your goal is to help me practice for a difficult conversation in an upcoming IEP meeting so that I can feel more confident and prepared. First, ask me what specific topic or request I want to practice. Then, you will act as a member of the school team, like a principal or a special ed director, and let me practice my talking points. Ask me realistic questions. And after we're done role playing, give me supportive feedback on how I can be clearer and more effective. So, great prompt to kind of help with preparing for those conversations. All right. A critical question as we start thinking about using AI, it's come up here and it comes up across industries as well. Is the goal to replace the expertise of the special education professionals? Like, is AI going to take my job? And I would say the answer is no. The goal is to kind of elevate practice and strengthen partnerships. So we're not talking about autopilot in any way, but we are talking about a co-pilot. Think of the special educator as the expert pilot. The AI co-pilot handles the routine, time-consuming tasks, drafting documentation based on existing data. This is the efficiency as a catalyst for collaboration. The reason why is because it gives our teachers and specialists back their most valuable resource, which is time. So now time that they can invest in talking and collaborating with parents, doing that deep creative thinking required to personalize a truly effective plan, teaching, implementing IEPs. It makes the IEP process more human, not less. As always, the main pilot, the expert pilot, is always in command. It's the critical role of human oversight. The AI generated components are only a starting point. It's the absolute responsibility of the educator using their deep knowledge of the law, of evidence-based practices, what's best for that child that they know, to meticulously review, customize, and approve every word. Professional judgment is irreplaceable when our professionals are empowered with tools that reduce the administrative burden. It really naturally fosters a more inclusive environment, and the focus of the meeting is shifting from, and I've been there, a race to get that paperwork done to a genuine collaborative planning session. We're using AI as our collaborator. With any powerful new technology, we get really excited about it, excited about the possibilities. It has to be matched by a serious commitment to responsible use. And as we continue to embrace AI, we have to start building some really clear ethical guardrails to protect students and mitigate legal risks. And so in this slide, we picked 3 of some critical areas that we think are the most critical right now. The first one is procedural compliance. Okay? A major violation in the IEP process is called predetermination. And that essentially means that a decision was made before the team had a chance to meet and collaborate. For example, a decision was made about placement for a student ahead of time. Anytime a team member brings documentation to a meeting, AI generated, of course, but any other kind, it should always have a draft watermark on it. And it should be very clear to everyone that, there's been no predetermination. This is just a starting point. Okay, super important. The second is data privacy. And I know that we all have that front of mind. It's that line that we always stay within. We can't put a child's personally identifiable information like their name, their address, their diagnosis into a non-secure public AI. There's just too much risk of data breach and federal laws that we're breaking at that point. It's always an absolute rule. All sensitive information must be anonymized before any tool is used. Okay? Student privacy is non-negotiable. And finally, we return to the core concept of individualization. The I in IEP is the most important letter, and there is a risk of relying solely on standardized AI-generated content, which may contain algorithmic bias. It may not really fit the unique needs of that child. Copy and paste from AI into a document is a no-no. AI, remember, is serving as a collaborator and not a replacement. It's got to be individualized for that child. While the risks are real, they're very manageable with some clear policies and responsible practice that allow us to innovate pretty safely. All right. Now we get into an area I'm really excited about. So far, we focused on how AI can revolutionize the IEP process. But now let's shift to the most important part. How can AI directly empower the student as a powerful form of assistive technology? So this is a three-step journey. First, it begins with a new and essential skill, okay, prompt engineering. We've already done a little bit of that today, okay? Think of it simply as learning how to have a productive conversation with AI, okay? And it's the skill really of asking the right question to get the right answer. Here's an example. Let's take a student with a writing disability. Okay, learning to prompt an AI to brainstorm or organize their thoughts is a modern functional skill, just like learning to type. Okay, so everyone needs training in prompt engineering, students, parents, teachers. It's a skill and it's a matter of equity. We're all moving forward with AI. But next, we're going to apply the skill, and we're going to apply it by integrating AI as assistive technology. We've already seen many AI tools are already becoming smarter through AI, and that offers an incredible opportunity for personalization. But it comes with an important ethical guardrail also. Our goal is to augment a student's ability, not replace their thinking. Okay. We want to give them a smart calculator, not a machine that takes the math test for them. Okay. The focus is always teaching students how to strategically use the tool to overcome challenges. And then finally and critically, we connect all of this to the IEP by developing AI-related goals. If a student uses AI as a support, it needs to be tied to a measurable outcome. Let's look at some examples in the next slides. Okay. First, we'll tackle a very common challenge, executive functioning and planning. Okay, as you can see in the baseline need column, we have a student who requires frequent reminders to get started on multi-step assignments, often miss deadlines. And their baseline data shows that 25% of assignments are submitted on time. Okay, this is a classic struggle that we see a lot. Now let's think about what that SMART goal example could look like. But notice what we're not doing. We're not saying the teacher will give more reminders, because the goal is to build our students' independence by using a specific tool. Let's break it down. It's specific. It names the tool, an AI-driven planning assistant, and the skill, breaking down assignments into subtasks. It's measurable. We have a clear target. We're moving from 25% baseline to 80% on-time submission. And that's ambitious, but it is achievable. And so it's going to represent significant growth. It's relevant to the student's primary need, and it's time bound. And we're going to have an annual IEP year to achieve the goal. But I think most importantly, the focus on the student independently using the tool is where we want to be headed. We're not managing a problem, we're teaching a student a modern transferable skill for managing their own work. This is an example of how we can use AI to foster true student agency. Okay, let's look at another example. This one focuses on written expression and proficiency with assistive technology. So here we have a student with dysgraphia. The student has complex creative ideas in their head. Okay, it's all there, but the physical act of writing is a major barrier to them getting those ideas onto the page. So they've tried using some standard dictation tools, and looking at our baseline data, we see that the technology itself was a bit of a frustration, only 65% transcription accuracy. But now let's think about how we can leverage a smarter AI-powered tool in the SMART goal. The goal is for the student to use an AI-powered speech-to-text platform to both dictate and edit a 5-paragraph essay. This is the distinction, right? The student isn't just talking into something and then turning something in. They're an active part of the writing process. And the goal is powerful because, first, it's highly measurable. We are aiming to increase the final accuracy from 65% to 90%. We're still holding our student accountable for the crucial skill of editing, right? We're reinforcing that they're the author and they're in control of the final product. This is a perfect example of how AI as assistive technology doesn't lower expectations. It's just providing an alternative pathway for our students to meet high academic standards. We're removing the barrier, which is transcription, so our student can focus on the core cognitive tasks of writing, organizing their thoughts, and expressing their ideas. Okay, let's look at one more. All right. This is our final example. This goal is about helping our students advocate for themselves. And really, it's a goal, it's a skill that they need for life after high school and beyond. It's a common need and it's really important. So we have a student who knows what support they need, but they struggle to independently request accommodations and explain the impact of their disability to a new teacher, or maybe it's a professor, it might be a manager. The solution in our SMART goal is that the student is going to use a personalized AI tool like a self-advocacy application on their phone to help them practice, prepare, and deliver their message. And so let's take a look at the goal itself. Number one, I love that it's set in the real world context. So when introduced to a new educational setting, the task is two parts. The student will use the AI to generate a statement, and then they'll successfully deliver it. And it's measurable. We're looking at 4 out of 5 observed attempts. We're allowing for practice time and building confidence in our students. It's more than, these goals are more about more than just completing tasks. Again, it's about how are we using technology to scaffold and build confidence and communication skills. The AI can help to provide a script so the student can focus on that brave and essential act of speaking up for themselves. We're leveraging this modern tool to teach really, really important skills. And in this case, we're helping our student learn how to find their voice and advocate for their needs. Well, I've done a lot of talking today. We've got some, and I just want to go through some takeaways from our learning. First of all, stop decoding, start acting. Today, we learned how to use AI tools to instantly translate those dense IEP documents, evaluations, technical jargon, into clear, actionable insights that you can use right now. We talked about how to professionalize your input. We reviewed how to turn our observations from home into concise input statements that can be put into the IEP. One of the things that we touched on, but we didn't go into deeply today, is auditing goals before the meeting. So we invite you to use IEP Champion to proactively just check any draft IEP goal for that smart compliance before you enter the meeting. And that's going to ensure that your student's plan is measurable and sound. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. And then mitigating risk. We did take a minute to reflect on those critical ethical guardrails about protecting student information, avoiding predetermination, those important things that we can't let go to keep us all safe. And then formalizing the technology. We got a little visionary and we started considering ways that the IEP team can intentionally write AI tools directly into the IEP as assistive technology. And we're starting to move our students towards independence. Pretty exciting. So I want to tell you a little bit about us. Throughout our time together, we've explored the promise of special education and the very real barriers that can prevent that true collaborative partnership. But we've also seen the potential for AI to level the playing field. And the natural question is, how can we make this potential a reality for every family and the professionals who support them? And that's why our team at IEP Sensei developed the IEP Champion. IEP Champion is a first of its kind AI-powered platform It's designed to support the parents, but also the entire IEP team in that collaborative partnership between school and home. So for parents, we leverage agentic AI to analyze documents and provide personalized insights. We empower parents to participate as equal partners. And for educators, the AI platform acts as that AI copilot. It helps with streaming that time-consuming work of documentation so that they can focus on their invaluable expertise. By equipping the entire team with these tools, we can build stronger, more effective partnership. Ultimately, everything we talked about is about helping every child thrive. And IEP Champion is the tool that we've built to make that promise a reality. Okay? All right. We really appreciate your time and attention. I'm looking forward to our conversation. This is our website, and I would invite you all to take a look. And when you're on the website, it's just iepsensei.com. Take a look at our beta program. We are looking for passionate families to join us, to use the tools, and to help us shape the future of special education. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we'd love for you to join us there as well. All right, so at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to take a look at, I'm going to open us up for, if I can, second conversation. Okay, everybody is now able to chat. I'd love for you to unmute and you're welcome to ask a question. And I'll also look at the Q&A. Okay, I see a good afternoon from Brooklyn. Hi, Zena. Good afternoon from Texas. And from Satya. Oh, okay, Satya had to drop. All right. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, or wonderings? Anything from anybody?
Hey, Laura, it's Michael. I have a quick question. Because you're sort of elbow deep in this every day, what are you seeing in terms of the trends in special education? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? And how are parents responding? Like, what's their normal avenue to get help when they feel like they're not getting help?
Thank you, Michael. That's a great question. Teresa, I'm also looking at what you put in the Q&A, and I think that it's kind of aligned with that question as well about the IEP process being more equitable across schools with different levels of resources or staffing. So right now, public schools are kind of in a tough spot, right? There's a lack of time, and there's often a lack of resources because we're short of teachers, people are leaving the profession. And so what I was saying about that rush to complete documents kind of taking hold instead of having the time to really be able to analyze data and draft real high quality individual plans is at a premium. And so I think that what happens is that contributes to confusions on both sides. Parents are reaching out for support and trying to get some help, and schools are happy to provide that. But often I think that they're overwhelmed and trying to deal with, the stresses of keeping the process going. And so if we can leverage technology to support some of that and offload some of those critical resources, I think that it's going to change the playing field. First of all, for parents to be able to walk into a meeting with the resources that they needed already is really helpful because they're walking in as equal partners. And then on the other side, with teachers getting some help and completing those massive documents, 30 pages of information is a big lift when you don't have a lot of time during the day. Teachers often take work home to do things there. And so giving back that time is also really, really important. Do you feel like I answered your question? And anyone is welcome also to chime in.
Thanks, Laura. I'm just going to jump in here and say I completely agree, and I appreciate you answering the question. And I think it's also true to like a tool like this could mitigate issues to where a specific school doesn't have maybe access to occupational therapists for students to get maybe what they need, or speech language pathologists, or anyone maybe who's should be involved in the IEP making process, but who isn't maybe around to spread out their time as efficiently as possible, especially in under-resourced districts. So just really excited. Of course, I've had the chance to follow your work a bit, of course, but I think this is really important and especially helpful for parents in under-resourced communities and districts. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa and Michael. I appreciate that. So I'm looking also at our Q&A, and I see that we have from Whittian's iPhone, in case we need to use as an example to include in his IEP. That's what I've got as the question. Do you mind unmuting and helping us know a little bit more about what you're looking for?
Good evening. How are you? I'm just was wondering if you can hear me first.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So first, thank you very much for this really beneficial webinar. Actually, I'm from Dubai talking. So I have a son on the spectrum and I'm a parent, but actually as well, I'm an inclusion champion in a school. So I was working and I was learning AI. I was really optimistic regarding AI. So I was happy to attend the webinar. And I had like kind of question like we need to use more the AI tools in order to include it in the IEP. So for example, do you have any example of that, of live example you can give us?
Do you mean more than what we were just proposing as possible assistive technology using AI?
Yes,
And
like
then,
for communication, which one can help for communication, for his own advocacy?
yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. I think that we're just kind of scratching the surface on the ways that AI can really support students. Um, what I was trying to show through those examples is also that AI can really start to build student agency and independence. So the focus being on helping our students learn how to leverage tools as opposed to reliance on things like multiple prompts, things like that. I think that AI can really help with communication by supporting a lot of what we talked about today, which is the scripts and the opportunity to practice communication in a safe place with that partner who provides immediate positive feedback, things like that. So I think there's a lot more learning to happen. I personally, in my current career, I have not seen AI written into an IEP quite yet. So that's in my experience, that's pretty
Exactly.
forward. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Thank
Hmm.
you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think that's fantastic. And then I see from Zena, I work at a school and the services don't even come until the child is leaving the school. Will there be more help to help parents get service more quicker in the future? Okay, Zena, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit more about your question? Give you a second. Okay, I'll try and speak to it a little bit. I think that looking at the question and thinking about how to help parents get services quickly for their children, I do think that, if you're talking about the referral process, I think that where AI can be really helpful is in helping parents understand how to navigate requesting a referral and then helping them with the communication and writing with the school. So how do I ask for a referral for an evaluation for special education? Who do I ask? And then what does that communication need to look like? I think that that can be an area that can be really helpful. What I would say is that there is a law called Child Find, a requirement called Child Find, and it's a proactive requirement that every public school district has to identify, locate, and evaluate students who are suspected of having a disability and may be in need of special education. And so you'll notice that I said suspected of, and not known to have, right? That's really the bar. And what I would say is that we try to put out information and make sure that in the community, there's information to support parents in requesting those evaluations, but I think that we could do a better job of getting the word out about that. If the child already has an IEP and parents are concerned that their child is not getting services that are written into that IEP, again, as you're using the AI, to review IEPs, to simplify the language, and then with our program through IEP Sensei, it allows you to have some templates for school communication as well. Zena, I see that you're unmuted. Do you want to add anything? Can't hear you. Oh, how do I unmute? It looks like you're unmuted. Okay, I'm still not hearing you. If you want to type into the Q&A, we can also do it that way. Oh, Claudine, you had a great question. How much does this platform cost for parents? Right now, Claudine, we are in our beta testing phase. And so for parents who are interested in joining that beta test program, there's no charge at this time. That pricing will come later, but at this time, if parents are interested, they can sign up through our website and join the beta test and get support that way. Anything else? Give Zena one. Okay, I'm using a speaker, might not be working well. Zena, do you want to type your question into the Q&A then? Just give you a second. Anything else while we're waiting from anyone? I just really appreciate the wonderful questions and the engagement today and spending your Sunday with us. All right, well, Zena, you are more than welcome. We'd love to continue the conversation if you have questions. Our email is info@iepsensei.com. Here, I'll put it into the Q&A for you. And you're more than welcome to reach out with any questions or concerns. All right? All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and close our webinar for today. Please take time, go to our website, reach out, and we thank you guys so much for your attendance. Have a great day.